It might make sense to actually start off with a short meditation just to sort of get everybody in the zone. Start by, you can close your eyes or have them at half-mast if you're used to practicing that way. And we'll start by taking a few deep breaths.
We do so I co-facilitate a group where we teach meditation to some people that haven't done it before. Usually they haven't done it before. And it helps them with that tool of gaining more of an awareness around what's happening and making it less overwhelming. And one of the ways I often explain it to my patients is, if you hit your funny bone, it hurts really bad. And if you didn't know what was going on, if you'd never heard that there was a funny bone or there was a nerve right there, you didn't know the pain was going to go away, you'd think that you were dying. You'd go to the emergency room, and even when the pain goes away, you'd be like, well, there must be something terribly wrong with me because I barely touched my elbow and it was extremely painful. And part of the practice then is to start to learn, oh, you know what, if I rub this, it's going to go away. Or I know this isn't going to be permanent, right?
Sort of speaks to this equanimity issue we were talking about earlier, right? So a lot of times people think that you're not supposed to have some intense emotion when you meditate, right? You hear that often, right? Like, I always tell the story about the Dalai Lama, seeing the Dalai Lama get angry. And I think it's a good point. People are like, what, the Dalai Lama gets angry? But the point being that you can get angry.
What did you do to piss him off?
Actually, Adam Engel, the CEO, pissed him off in some way or took responsibility of this because we took off the labels of the water bottles in his residence because we were filming. In India, water is like sacred to make sure that it's not contaminated. And he's always concerned about his having proper water, that it's not poisoned in some way. And he noticed that somebody took it off without asking him. It was his living room that we're in. And he just got really angry and called us out, and everyone was dead silent. And then Adam said sorry, and he said, okay, let's continue. And it was like within seconds, that anger was gone. Yeah, anger was gone.
So that's the classic thing of equanimity is like people often think equanimity, they confuse it with indifference, that it's a kind of flatlining, but actually it's more like a lack of friction. So you're just completely allowing whatever to come up, whether it's love, whether it's anger, whether it's calmness, it just comes up. But because there's no friction around it, it comes up and passes and moves through.
That's the key, the moving through. Yeah. I mean, in emotion regulation research, you see it's not that you have some sort of intense emotion or intense stress response that's necessarily bad, but it's actually very healthy to have a lot of variability in your heart rate. It goes up, it goes down, and if you have a stress response, the only thing that we look for is recovery time, how quickly you can recover from the stressor. That's what's key.
Really want to thank all of you for coming out. Really appreciate it. Thanks to
you guys,
Dave, to the Osher Center. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, it's Dave. Good to be with you. This meditation will focus on cultivating equanimity, an even-minded mental state or dispositional tendency towards all experiences or objects, regardless of their affective valence, which basically means their attractiveness as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Equanimity is often an essential quality to cultivate along with mindfulness as a tool for recovering rapidly from difficult emotions or physical stressors. So let's explore the practice of equanimity, in which you can use imagery, explore your potential emotional reactions, and connect with your body. Here we go. Let's start by taking a few deep breaths, settling the mind and body. Allow yourself to be relaxed but alert. Feel free to close your eyes or keep them open, checking in with the breath. bringing your attention to the direct sensations of breathing at the nostrils or the belly, or the feel of your whole body breathing. Now that we've settled a bit, I'm going to describe a couple scenarios for you to imagine yourself into. And we're going to dive right in. Are you ready? Okay, here's the first one. You are sitting wherever you are, and suddenly you hear a door slamming nearby. How would you absorb the sound? Would you demonstrate fear and arousal? How quickly would you recover? See if you can imagine this experience in your body. Would your heart jump? Would your muscles clench? Would you be indifferent? Take a few moments to imagine and explore this now. With equanimity, you are poised to let the salient and intense stimulus arise and pass, not resisting the experience or needing it to be different in any way. Okay, here's another scenario. Imagine you are driving in a car on a major highway, and you have the intention to bring in mindful awareness and equanimity into the experience. So you might be aware of thoughts or emotions that pass through your mind without getting lost in them. You might experience the flow of sensory and mental objects with an impartial yet caring attitude. Okay, now into this mindful scenario. Imagine another driver suddenly cuts in front of you in a dangerous way. Fear or anger may arise as you automatically hit the brakes and honk your horn. With mindful awareness, we recognize and acknowledge the driver and the impulse to respond in a reactive way. But instead of reacting with perhaps road rage or panic, you bring your attention to the tightness in your fists, gripped around the steering wheel and the quality of your breath. Is it stable and smooth? Are you fighting any thoughts or feelings that may arise? Are you welcoming the experience? Try sitting with any tension that might arise in your body in response to this scenario. Focus on your breath and see if this helps the tension melt away. If there is any discomfort or stress in your neck or shoulders, allow the feelings to pass and the tension to relax. Notice if there are any negative thoughts about the other driver. Let them pass right through your mind. Being completely present and mindful of the arising anger, equanimity offers us a container in which to hold the full range of our experience. Equanimity is sometimes described as standing in the middle of whatever is happening with balance, strength, and stability. There is a strong presence of inner calm, smoothness, well-being, and integrity that can keep us upright, like a ballast keeps a ship upright in strong winds. Meditation teacher Gil Fronsdal describes it like this: as inner strength develops, equanimity follows. Coming back to your breath, staying present in your body. The situation is over and you are recovering. Continue staying focused on settling in the body and coming back to your breath while I check in with what the science has to say about the brains of long-term meditators as they cultivate equanimity. One major study demonstrated that in response to emotionally charged stimuli, in this case, people screaming and babies crying, meditators show increased activity in parts of the brain responsible for generating a stress response, the amygdala specifically, while also showing activity in frontal regions, which basically means that the meditators were experiencing negative emotion while also showing some element of control. Now, if a neuroscientist saw this relative increase in amygdala activity, they might think that the meditators are not regulating the emotion very well, when in fact, the meditators were experiencing the emotion fully, with composure, and without suppressing the experience. When we cultivate calm, concentration, and mindfulness, we are less likely to be blown about by the worldly winds. And at the same time, equanimity becomes an inner strength and a kind of composure that keeps us balanced in the middle of all that is. In these last few moments, let's drop all attempts to focus your attention and just completely relax. You no longer need to consider any challenging scenarios, thoughts, or sensations. You can completely let go and enjoy a few moments of rest. Try this now. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Take a moment to notice the room and reconnect with the world around you. Practicing this kind of baseline equanimity can help us develop more resilience in all areas of our life, not just in dealing with a moment of frustration or sadness, but in the larger landscape of our emotional life and our capacity to feel happiness and contentment. Thanks for giving this a try. We'll see you next time.